Hello, my name is AmanpreetKaur. I am from Section E. My roll number is 2501324. So today our topic is imported inflation, how global supply shocks are quietly reshaping Indian manufacturing. So let's start with the introduction part. So India is often seen as a fast growing economy driven by domestic demand. But what if I told you that many of our economic problems are not even created within India? One such hidden challenge is imported inflation, where global disruptions increase costs for Indian industries, especially manufacturing and OEMs. Imported inflation happens when the prices of raw materials and inputs rise globally, and countries like India, which depend heavily on imports, are forced to pay more. For example, India imports a large share of crude oil, electronic components, and specialty metals. Events like the Russia-Ukraine war or supply chain disruptions during COVID-19 pandemic caused global prices to spike. As a result, Indian manufacturers face higher input costs even if domestic demand remains stable. So let's now see what is the impact on Indian manufacturing and OEMs. So this has a direct impact on Indian OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, like auto companies, electronic producers, and industrial equipment firms. For instance, rising steel and semiconductor prices increased production costs for companies like Tata Motors and Maruti Suzuki. Now, companies only have three choices: absorb the cost, which will reduce the profit margins; pass it to consumers, which will increase the inflation; cut production, which will slow the economic growth. So, this creates a chain reaction. Higher costs lead to high prices, which further leads to lower demand and slow GDP growth. So, a war in Europe or disruption in China can actually affect the price of a car or AC in India. So let's now discuss why this is a structured problem. The deeper issue is India's dependence on imports for critical inputs. Even though we talk about Make in India, many components like semiconductors or lithium are still sourced globally. This makes India vulnerable to external shocks beyond its control. So let's now talk about solutions and way forward. To reduce the risk, India needs a multi-pronged approach. First, supply chain diversification, not relying on just one country. Second, domestic manufacturing push, especially in critical sectors like electronics and energy. Third, strategic reserves like oil reserves to cushion sudden shocks. So government initiatives like production linked incentive scheme are steps in the right direction, but execution speed is the key. So here we come to the conclusion. In today's globalized world, India's economic stability is no longer just domestic, it is deeply global. Understanding imported inflation helps us realize that managing the economy also means managing global risks. So yeah, thank you.